In the jungle, the lion, serving as the king of the animals, decided to convene a significant meeting. He gathered all the animals for a crucial announcement, where he declared a new rule. Henceforth, no one in the jungle is permitted to use condoms. The objective was to boost the population and ensure the survival of their species. The animals attentively listened and agreed to adhere to the lion's decree. Sometime later, the fox was navigating through the jungle, and as he explored, he came across a donkey. To his surprise, he noticed that the donkey was wearing a condom, despite the lion's strict prohibition. Seizing an opportunity, the fox hurriedly went to find the lion, who was resting under a tree. The fox informed the lion about what he had observed and said, "Your Majesty, I have seen the donkey wearing a condom, even after you banned their use." Prompted by this information, the lion promptly confronted the donkey. When he found the donkey, the lion inquired why he was wearing a condom despite the explicit prohibition. The donkey, with a humorous twist, responded, "That's not a condom, it's a snake giving me a..." Pinocchio, a 20-year-old gentleman, goes for a medical checkup, and all his test results come back normal. The doctor, satisfied with the results, asks Larry about his mental and emotional well-being, inquiring if he's at peace with God. Larry responds, "God and I are close. He knows I have poor eyesight, so he's arranged it that when I get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, poof, the light goes on. And when I'm done, poof, the light goes off." Impressed, the doctor expresses his amazement. Later in the day, the doctor contacts Larry's wife, Bonnie, to share his admiration for Larry's relationship with God. He asks Bonnie if it's true that Larry experiences the magical lights in the bathroom. Bonnie exclaims, "Oh, sweet Jesus, he's peeing in the refrigerator again." This becomes a humorous revelation about the 100-year-old man named Larry. A large number of viewers watch my videos without a subscription. Therefore, subscribe to my channel so as not to miss new videos with funny jokes. Kill 'em! An 80-year-old man married a 20-year-old girl. After a year, she gave birth in a hospital. The nurse congratulated him, expressing amazement at his ability to father children at his age. Keelam humorously responded, "You've got to keep that old motor running." The following year, she gave birth again, and the nurse, still surprised, asked for the secret. Keelam reiterated, "You've got to keep the old motor running." The same scenario repeated the next year, and the nurse, impressed, remarked, "You must be quite a man." Keelam, with a grin, once again said, "You've got to keep that old motor running." Playfully, the nurse added, "Well, you had better change the oil this time." A young man was about to embark on his first job at a morgue, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The boss, eager to test the new employee, led him to a door and explained that behind it was a room with a deceased elderly lady lying naked on a slab. The task assigned was to inspect the body for any unusual signs or issues. The young man, a bit surprised, sought clarification, asking if he needed to inspect the body. The boss confirmed, and the young man entered the room, leaving the boss waiting outside. In the quiet and cold room, the young man carefully examined the body. After a while, he emerged from the room. The boss, curious about the inspection, inquired if everything was okay. The young man replied affirmatively, but shared an odd discovery. There was a prawn stuck in the private area of the deceased. The boss, utterly astonished, couldn't believe what he heard, exclaiming, "A prawn stuck up there?" The young man insisted, and the boss, needing to verify, decided to check for himself. He quickly entered the room, leaving the young man outside. Shortly afterward, the boss returned, and the young man confidently stated, "See, I told you." The boss, looking a bit exasperated, clarified, "That's not a prawn. That's her clitoris." Without missing a beat, the young man humorously responded, "Well, it tasted like a prawn." A man settled into his airplane seat and noticed the arrival of an incredibly beautiful woman boarding the plane. Destiny placed her right beside him. Eager to strike up a conversation, he asked, "Business trip or pleasure?" She responded with a smile, "Business. I'm heading to the annual Nymphomaniacs of America convention in Boston." The man was taken aback, finding himself next to the most gorgeous woman he had ever seen, en route to a gathering of nymphomaniacs. Struggling to maintain composure, he calmly inquired about her role at the convention. She explained, "I'm a lecturer. I use personal experiences to debunk popular myths about sexuality." Intrigued, he asked, "What kind of myths are out there?" She shared insights, debunking myths like the assumption that African American men are the most well-endowed, clarifying that Native American Indians are more likely to possess that trait. Another myth she discussed was the perception that Frenchmen are the best lovers, revealing that men of Mexican descent excel in that department. She also highlighted that Southern rednecks have the best stamina. As the conversation unfolded, the woman became a bit uncomfortable and blushed. Apologetically, she said, "I shouldn't be discussing all of this with you. I don't even know your name." The man replied, Tonto Gonzalez, but my friends call me Bubba." A young man from Pennsylvania has ventured to Chicago to study the funeral business under Frank Campbell, the world's most renowned mortician. Excitedly, he calls his father and exclaims, "Pop, you wouldn't believe how thrilling it is working with Frank Campbell. It's unbelievable." His father skeptically responds, "Come on, how could undertaking ever be exciting?" The young man proceeds to share an anecdote. "Well, last night we were at the funeral parlor when we received a call from the Lincoln Park Hotel. A couple had both passed away while they were making love." He continues, "Frank Campbell put on his tuxedo and white gloves, grabbed his cane with a gold tip, and off we went to the hotel. We took the elevator up and walked down the hall to the room. Frank Campbell reached out with his gloved hand, turned the doorknob, and pushed open the door with his cane with the gold tip. When we walked in, there they were, naked, and the guy had a huge erection. With impeccable style, Frank Campbell walked over, raised his cane with the gold tip, and whacked it. The father, puzzled, asks, 'What's so exciting about that?' The young man grins and replies, 'That's when it started, Pop. We were in the wrong room.'" In the earliest days of humanity, when there were only one man and one woman on Earth, they found themselves entangled in marital troubles. Adam had been staying out very late for several nights, causing Eve to grow increasingly upset. With suspicion clouding her mind, she confronted him, accusing, "You're out there meeting other women, aren't you?" Each time she watched him, her eyes narrowed with worry. Adam, tired and uninterested in an argument, responded, "You're not being fair. Look around. It's just you and me here. You're the only woman on Earth." While his logic seemed sound, suspicion is not always swayed by reason. Eve, however, remained unconvinced, holding on to her doubts. Persistently, she questioned, "Then why all these late-night wanderings?" Their back and forth continued, words flying like arrows, yet none could penetrate the shield of Adam's patience. As the night deepened, the world around them grew quiet, and Adam, worn out from the day and the lengthy argument, fell asleep. However, the night did not bring rest to the first couple. In the midst of a deep sleep, Adam felt a persistent prodding at his chest. Groggy and confused, he opened his eyes to find Eve poking him with a determined look on her face. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, Adam's confusion turned to irritation as he asked, "What on earth are you doing?" Eve replied, "Counting your ribs." A bagpiper received a request from a funeral director to perform at a graveside service for a homeless man, without any family or friends to attend. The funeral was scheduled to take place at a cemetery in a remote countryside location, which was the first burial in that area. However, the bagpiper was unfamiliar with the rural surroundings, causing him to get lost and arrive an hour late. When he finally reached the location, he found the crew taking a lunch break with their equipment, but the hearse was missing. Apologizing for his tardiness, he walked over to the open grave and noticed the vault lid had already been placed in position. Although he assured the workers that he wouldn't delay them for long, he believed it was the right thing to do. The laborers gathered around while continuing to eat their lunch. The bagpiper began to play his heart out, delivering heartfelt melodies. His tunes ranged from "Going Home" and "The Lord is My Shepherd" to "Flowers of the Forest," concluding with "Amazing Grace." Once he had finished, He packed up his bagpipes and returned to his car. As he drove away from the cemetery, one of the workers turned to another, expressing his astonishment. "Dear Lord, I have never witnessed anything like that before. And I've been installing septic tanks for 20 years. There once was a man named David who cherished his beautiful and powerful bike more than anything else in the world. One fateful day, while enjoying a ride on his beloved bike, he experienced a minor heart attack and accidentally crashed into a tree. Fortunately, he suffered only minor injuries, but his cherished bike was left severely damaged. As fate would have it, a compassionate stranger happened upon the scene and came to David's aid. This good Samaritan helped David, loaded the damaged bike onto his truck, and drove him to the hospital. During their conversation, the kind stranger revealed his own passion for bikes and offered to repair David's bike. David was overjoyed by this offer, as he had initially thought his cherished bike was beyond repair. A few days later, the generous man returned with the bike in pristine condition, looking good as new. David was overwhelmed with gratitude and affection for his newfound friend, declaring that this young man was like a son to him. They spent a great deal of time together, bonding over their shared love of bikes and forging a deep friendship. However, a few months later, tragedy struck when David suffered another heart attack and passed away. When his will was read, it was revealed that he had bequeathed his beloved bike not to his biological son, but to the kind young man who had become like family to him. Understandably, David's son was upset, and his mother vehemently argued against bequeathing the expensive bike to the young man. The lawyer, however, explained that they were bound by David's will, as he had chosen to leave his cherished possession to a man he considered a son. In frustration, the wife vented, "But that young man is hardly David's son.